What up guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm here in Brighton, which I haven't shot in a while, so I thought this was a great opportunity to do one film, one camera, 1 hour. This is episode 3 of this little mini series that I'm doing. Quite good fun, proper test of my skill set. Today we're using the Minolta X-700. It is kind of my go-to for this sort of thing because the light meter is so accurate, and when I've not got much time, it's a really efficient camera to use. And I'm going with CineStill 400D, which I've not used yet. So, wish me luck.
I saw a video of the plane flying through. Did you see that? I was like, how is it free? Looks like some fucking game. That'll be a
CineStill 400D then. So let's get the elephant out of the room initially, I think. These images aren't very good, are they?
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
There's a few things to take into consideration. I'm not 100% I like the film. That doesn't help. I'm also never quite convinced about shooting in Brighton. Sometimes I love it and sometimes I hate it. But anyway, I don't want to go too much into the film or Brighton. So we'll dive straight into looking at some of these images, starting with this one. This was actually the first one I took. I like the woman who's now turned around looking. That's quite cool. I was glad she turned around. And I like obviously the eye and the detail, and I like the reflections. Not convinced on the highlights of CineStill 400D, but we'll come onto that later. Now I will quickly talk about the film actually, because there are some images that I really dislike. The colours are horrible, but there's also some that I really like the colours. So I found it kind of a bit of a Marmite set of images. For example, I really like this image. With this one, I love the colours. I love the greens, I love the oranges, and I do quite like the colours in the shadows. That really suits my eye. But not all images are quite as nice as this. For example, this picture that's coming up, I don't hate the photo, it's okay, but there's something ugly about the colours. I'll show you. I like the colours in the shadows, but the highlights are horrible. I know that CineStill is well known for its halations and it works really well for CineStill 800T, but I'm not convinced it works in CineStill 400D. I just feel like when you're shooting daylight, there's so many highlights that it creates a really weird look to the image, and I'm not convinced it suits my eye. Some of you will love it, and that's absolutely fine, but I'm just not convinced for me. But we will come onto the film in a little bit more detail later. Let's look at a couple more images from the first half of this roll, starting with this image here. I actually really like this image. It's, I like the colours and I like the subtlety of the hands. I wish that I had centered the hands in the mirror. That has annoyed me, but apart from that, I do like this image. And I actually like this image too, which is from the same scene. You've got the guy's eye just looking at you beyond whatever this thing is at the front of the image. And then you've also got his reflection. As well as that, you've got some sort of ghostly figures in the reflection of the sort of glass behind the mirror. That was one of the strongest images on the roll for sure. Now, something in my photography that I'd really like to improve on is shooting more layers. Billy D is an incredible photographer and he nails it. Some of his images are absolutely superb. I'll leave his link in the description, but if you haven't heard of Billy D and you're a street photographer or follow street photography, then you kind of have been living under a rock. Now this image has got lots of layers, and it's almost really good, but it just falls a little bit short for me. There's a bit of a gap in the left side of the image, which is a shame. You've got these two women with sunglasses on looking quite cool in the bottom right. Then you've got this woman who's having a coffee in that sort of middle window gap. And then you've got this guy who's looking through the window at this other dude. You've also got the picture in the background, and then these lights are also really interesting, but then you've just got this gap here. If there was a subject in that gap, I think that would be a really strong image. And again, I like the colors. For some reason, this one, the colors are really cool. So the next image we're going to look at is this one here. Now this image is quite an interesting one and I do quite like it. I like the colors despite the light being quite flat. I find this piece of graffiti art quite interesting. You've also got sort of lots of different frames here. You've got this graffiti at the side, you've got this billboard at the top, and then you've got this window here, a bike which adds a bit of interest, and then you've got this road sign too. So I saw this and was like, well, I can go with a slightly slow shutter and put a subject in the middle of the frame, which, to be fair, it's come out perfectly. And the fact the guy had a dog with him makes this an even more interesting image. I think that is enough looking at that half of the roll of film. Let's get back to the action. Yeah?
Me! Whoa.
Beautiful. You look cool. You're all good, man. I guess the good news is the second half of that roll of film is so poor that it won't take long to go through these images. But let's start with this one. Not the world's greatest photo, but I like the framing of the people. I like the girl reading her book, and I like the little reflection you can kind of see, almost like a shadow of the girl reading her book, because they have a similar sort of head down pose. I did like that one, but that is possibly the strongest image on this second half of the roll of film. I also did quite like this image. It's probably the only image I quite like the sky, and it's almost because it's blown out. I don't like the blue of the sky that CineStill 400D gives you. But this image is okay, like technically it's not a bad shot with the guy looking down. But I mean, I'm clutching at straws here a little bit. Maybe we'll look at a couple more from the second half of this roll of film before we move on to the rest of the video. I like this image actually. I'm not 100% on the guy wearing pink, but the fact that I managed to get a nice slow shutter with him is quite cool. And this dude here, if you punch in, you can see he's actually wearing devil horns on his hat, which I was hoping might show up a little bit better. And that's why I was kind of trying to shoot him, because he's quite an interesting character. Apart from that, I do like the colors actually in this one. I like the blacks in CineStill 400D. And you do get the halations in the lights, which is cool, but it's also maybe a bit much in the highlights of like the sky. And one more image before we move on. I don't dislike this one. I hate this guy here wearing the Vans jumper. That's shit. I wish I was closer to this subject and isolating him. And if you punch right in, I'm really impressed with how sharp CineStill is. And you've got this really cool little glow where he's sort of smoking his cigarette. So I think we can all agree that's not my finest bit of work. But before we come onto CineStill, I do want to say a quick thank you to Picture This Film Lab for supporting the channel. Both Eddie and Paul are genuinely some of the most helpful and enthusiastic people in the film community. They offer an incredible service for photographers like you and me, from film development and high quality TIFF scans to stunning prints that really bring your images to life. Not only that, they've got an amazing collection of cameras and pretty much every film stock you could ever want. So huge thank you again to the guys at Picture This Film Lab for all their support. Let's talk CineStill 400D then. When I first started researching this film, I honestly thought it was just another re-spooled Kodak Vision 3 stock, like 50D or the famous 800T. But it turns out it's not. 400D, with the D standing for dynamic, was announced back in early 2022 after a massive community-backed campaign. And it's actually CineStill's first original colour negative film. It's not just Kodak Vision 3 with the REM jet removed. It's an entirely new emulsion designed specifically for still photography. It's daylight balanced at 550 Kelvin, which makes it really versatile for shooting outdoors and in mixed light. And it still keeps a bit of that classic CineStill character, those soft halations that 800T is so famous for. You can see in some of the shots here that glow around the highlights that gives it a cinematic, almost dreamy quality. Now, as for my thoughts on it, I'm really glad I have another box here because I want to go and shoot this film again to really sort of understand my feelings towards this film stock, because at the moment I feel it's a bit of a Marmite one. I love the colours in some of the images, but in others not so much. The shadows have this lovely tone and depth that really suits my eye, but I find the highlights a little bit tricky. In really bright conditions, the images do look a little bit odd, and I'm not a fan of that at all. In fact, I'm curious to know, have you shot CineStill 400D? What did you think of it, and these shots in particular? Let me know in the comments if I could have shot this roll differently, or is that just generally how it behaves? Either way, let's get on to the images that I would keep, post and print, starting with these 37 images which I would keep, and taking away the really weak images, of which there were plenty. I'm left with these 20 images here. These are the images that I would post on social media, and if you want to check my social media out, you can find me on NJM Flicks on pretty much everything. The links are all in the description. And of all of the images on this roll of film, these are the 3 I would consider printing, but the reality is I probably wouldn't print any. And that's your lot, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please hit that like button, as it does really help the channel. And if you love film photography and street photography as much as I do, hit that subscribe button, because there's plenty more videos to come. Till the next one, peace.